Welcome back to Bachelor Happy Hour. I'm Joe.
And I'm Serena.
And we are here today with Jeremy. Jeremy, welcome. We're in studio.
How you guys doing? Thanks for having me in person.
Of course. This is a big interview.
Is it?
Yeah. How you been feeling?
I've been feeling good.
Yeah.
Try to stay off the internet. So
Really?
with the exception of right after the episode, and I respond to a few comments. Overall, I'm pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I
know.
on the internet, so
Yes.
I mean, listen, it could be tough. It could be. I mean, it's very tough getting judged by millions, or I don't know about millions, but a lot of people that you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see how many people look at my profile.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been.
Because you're on the internet.
Touche.
Okay, so let's get right into it. We don't really need to know about how you got on and all that because we've talked to you before.
Yeah.
We know. First things first, you're down on the beach. You hit it off with Bailey. She's also talking to Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
She ends up choosing you after that rose ceremony.
Yep.
Where was your relationship at that point?
Yeah, I think when I went down to the beach, I think I knew a lot of people who were going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Bailey, I'd met for like 5 seconds before. I didn't really know anything about her, and she really took me, by surprise. Just happened to be sitting next to her, and we had a good conversation, and she was like, she had such a positive energy and her smile, and she's obviously beautiful. So she really caught me off guard. So it was obviously early stages, but I was very interested in her. I know she was, talking to Kyle as well. I didn't really view it as like a competition. I think we were just vibing.
Yeah, as a viewer, it definitely seemed like you guys had a very strong connection right off the bat. Like the chemistry is very obvious there. Were you surprised when she picked you over Kyle, or did you feel pretty confident?
No, she told me she was going to give me the rose, so I wasn't surprised.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the following week, Susie comes down.
Mm-hmm.
She asks you on a date.
Yep.
Tell us about that date. You seem pretty happy to go. It makes sense that you would go because it's early on.
Mm-hmm.
Had you met Susie before?
I never met Susie before. No. We'd followed each other. I didn't think I was going to be asked on a date, but then I found out that I was like the only one who talked to her the night before, so I guess that makes sense. And yeah, so I went on the date, and it was a lot of fun. Like I think it's hard to go jet skiing in Costa Rica and not have fun. And I think that like both with Susie and Bailey, I don't think I was expecting like either of them, right? And I was pleasantly surprised by both. So then when it came time for, the cocktail hour and the rose ceremony, I was like in a tough position where I kind of felt like the Bachelor, and I'm definitely not the Bachelor, and I was like making this tough decision, and I ended up picking Bailey, of course.
What drew you in with Susie? Because we see you've obviously spent quite a few days with Bailey. I think at this point, like, it's obvious that there's the connection there. But this one date with Susie has kind of made you feel really torn. What about Susie drew you in so much?
Yeah, it's tough because I had spent a few days with Bailey, but at the same time, it's still early on. I didn't want to close myself off, and Susie's a great girl, and I think we had great conversation, and we were smiling and laughing a lot on the date, and I think that's what made it tough, is that I wasn't expecting to be in that position. And when you're in that position and it's so early on, you don't know what the future is going to be like. You don't know what life's going to be like, and no matter what, it's kind of like a gamble of when you're making that decision. So I just went with my gut.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have known that Susie was going to self-eliminate, would you have given her your rose?
No.
Okay.
I know, I made the comments about thinking that Susie was going to be there, which is true. I had a feeling that, someone as in Justin might extend the rose to her, but I don't think my decision would have changed. I still would have given Bailey the rose.
Okay.
When you told Bailey that you were going to go on the date with Susie,
Mm-hmm.
what did you expect her reaction to be?
I don't know if I had an idea of what her reaction would be. I think she kind of reacted the way that I thought she might, because she's like a pretty cool girl. We were only there for a few days. I don't think she was going to say no. And she was just like, yeah, go on the date. If you still want to be with me after, like, I'm going to be here.
When Susie goes home, I would imagine, as much as you were confident in your decision with Bailey, there was probably still this gray area of you may have continued exploring both women, because we're learning from you guys that come on the podcast how quick the turnarounds are happening this season. Like usually on our season, you had like 2 or 3 days with someone before a rose ceremony. Now it's like bang, someone comes in, the next day you have to make a decision.
Yeah. So I came straight back from my date with Susie to getting ready for the cocktail party. And
Yeah,
the rose
that's
ceremony.
wild.
Yeah, it's wild. I think Susie was there for like 24 hours. I think that, let's just say for whatever reason I gave Susie the rose instead of Bailey, I probably would have been having the same thoughts about Bailey too. You just have no idea, like you're basing it off of such a limited amount of time with someone.
Mm.
Okay, so then the following day, Andrew comes in.
Mm-hmm.
This is where things start getting a little
Yeah.
slippery. Bailey gets asked on a date, and you,
Yeah.
for a lack of better words, kind of lose your shit.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And did you not, like, in the moment think like she was so cool about me doing this, 24 hours ago?
Yeah, I think I didn't really think in the moment. I
Mhm.
should work on that. I think the reason why I was upset was based on the conversation we had the night before, which is when Bailey was like, I'm here for you only. So in my mind, when someone tells me that, it's not like, oh, I'm here for you until someone comes in tomorrow and asks me on a date.
Did you question when she said, I'm here for you only? Did you say, well, what if somebody comes down?
No, I didn't, but we had a conversation, not that night, but earlier, which I told her, I'm like, listen, and this was even before Susie came down. So in the first few days where I was like, listen, like, I like you, but if someone comes down and asks me on a date, like, I'm going to go on the date.
Yeah.
Type
Mhm.
of thing. So yeah, I felt like a little, misled, but that being said, I still shouldn't have reacted the way that I did. Like,
Yeah, it happens.
I watch myself on TV, like I look like a child.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm 31 years old. I probably haven't acted like that since I was like 9 years old.
And then you do it on camera.
And then you do it on
Yeah.
camera and you're doing it in front of millions of people. Like, obviously I understand why I'm getting some hate for that. I wish I didn't react like that, but
It happens.
it happens, and I just gotta, live with it, and that's a decision I made in the moment.
Your frustration from watching it, from what you're telling us, seems to come from the fact that, yeah, you felt misled. You felt like she had said, like, hey, I'm only here for you. And we do see that conversation happen. So, like, you can kind of see where the miscommunication is watching it. Do you think if she had said, hey, look, right now I'm only here for you, but if someone comes down, I'm still open to exploring, would that have made your decision harder when it came down to choosing if you were going to give your rose to Bailey or Susie? Like, do you think
No,
that conversation kind of made or break your decision?
No, I don't think it made or break my decision. I think I would have given Bailey the rose anyways. But like maybe I would have been like less annoyed
Okay.
in how I
Yeah.
reacted. But either way, like I'll be the first one to say I should not have reacted like that.
Do
And
you think that you were like locked in on Bailey at that point, or were you still open to going on dates? You were just really surprised that she also was.
it's a good question. I don't remember exactly, but I think I was like locked in enough that I wanted to give her my rose and keep exploring after I just went on this date. I don't think that I was like expecting to go on another date, which I didn't. But yeah, like I get from like everyone's point of view, like I just went on the date, like why wouldn't you extend that grace to Bailey without getting upset? Like I get it. I see both sides.
Made a mistake.
Yeah.
No one's perfect.
I made a few mistakes.
Yeah. You made a mistake. No one's
It's-
perfect. It is. I get it. Like watching it, I'm like, Jeremy, what the fuck are you doing? But like, I understand. Like, I could be in that situation and just have gotten lost in the situation and freaked out in the moment, and you make a mistake.
Yeah, I think people who know me know I'm like a pretty chill dude. Um, and if you don't know him and you saw that, you'd be like, this guy's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And I get that. And that's what happened, and I can't take it back, and I just gotta move on and learn from it.
We're all a little crazy. That's why we, go on reality TV.
Yeah,
If you were completely normal, you wouldn't be on the show.
Yeah.
So
This is true.
there's that.
So we see that your response to Bailey going on this date with Andrew is you go to a producer,
Mm.
you go to interview, and you're like, I want Susie back.
Yeah.
Walk us through
Nice move.
what about Bailey's decision to go on this date with Andrew triggered you wanting to bring Susie back. Like, give us some more insight into your thought process here. Even if you weren't thinking, like, what was the emotional
Clearly
reaction?
wasn't thinking that much, but like it was as simple as like she had said this to me. I feel betrayed. I had a tough time deciding who to give the rose to. let's call Susie.
Yeah.
And by like, obviously Susie said no. Like, if she said yes, I don't even know like what I would do.
That's
yeah,
weird. That was
So
gonna be
like, I
the,
really wasn't thinking.
that was going to be the follow-up
Yeah.
question. Yeah, you have no idea. Have you thought about that at all? Like what
Yeah,
would you
like
have done?
Susie said, "Oh, you know what? I actually just pulled out. We're gonna turn the car around. I'm coming back right
I might have
now."
been like, like it was a heat of the moment. I obviously, I don't like to live with regrets. I wish I handled it a bit differently.
Yeah.
How do you wish you handled it?
More maturely.
What would that have looked like?
Sleeping on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unplug New York
Plots or certain next plot
in one quick tray and Bert's Essentials.
opens up the endless.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Susie ends up not coming back.
Mhm.
Now, why not tell Bailey this kind of immediately? Just like, hey, and once you guys got back together, once she came back from her Andrew date and she chose you, why not just come clean and be like, this is what I did. You're going to see it anyways.
Yeah. Watching it back, that is one thing I definitely wish I did differently, especially because I am a fan of communication. Like, I could have just told her then. I think my reasoning at the time was like, she just went on this date, she's having conversations with this guy, kissing this guy. I'm not hearing about any of this. I'm having a conversation with this girl. I don't need to tell her about it. But something that I said in many interviews, if things progress with Bailey, like, I will obviously tell her. I'm not just gonna like wait until maybe we get engaged and tell her, or wait until the show's airing and tell her. Like, I will tell her. I just feel like because it was still early stages, it wasn't necessary at the time.
Okay. So that's also, I think, where you're going to get people, even now listening to this, have a hard time. I believe you because I don't think you're lying, but I do think people will hear that and be like, well, you had 8 days. It seems like your relationship did progress.
Yeah, it
and
did.
You still didn't tell her.
Listen, I'm in a position where if I become like even a little bit defensive, people are like, "Oh, he's a liar. He's just like,
Yeah.
whatever, blaming it on stuff." Like, it's a tough line to to walk on. But the truth is, like, I was having like thoughts of telling Bailey the whole thing with we saw in episode 7. The only reason I actually didn't tell her that night was because like I went to sleep. That was my one night to catch up on sleep. You guys know, like, you don't sleep a lot on the show, and I wish I could have told her the day before, but the day before was like our one-on-one date and the competition. It's like, if people don't want to believe me, they don't have to, but like, I genuinely was going to tell her. And the reason why I was like pissed at Brian um was because I feel like that opportunity was taken away from me. Sure, I technically had a few days of opportunity. I just felt like, because it's mine and Bailey's relationship, I should be able to tell her like when I feel it's the right time to tell her.
Let's take a few steps back,
Sure.
just because I want to talk about you being in your room, opening up to Brian about you still having feelings for Susie. Help me out with, I guess, the timeline from that conversation to like when you and Bailey got paired up as a team.
Yeah, I will say, first off, like, that conversation itself, I don't remember it all happening. I think Brian might even say some of the same thing. Um, but they were all just like, their comments. Some of them were jokes. You could even, like, if you go back, I say I'm kidding in them. And I'm also the type of person, I'll just say whatever. I'm not gonna, filter it for the camera, whether I mean it or not.
Well, I knew you were joking when you said I hate the Goldens, because I could tell that was
Yeah, I was talking about monologues that are going on.
Yeah,
and,
that was clearly a joke.
But the whole timeline between, like, from the Susie phone call through those comments, it took place over 3 days,
Yeah.
and we were filming for over 3.5 weeks. So, I mean, that's like the unfortunate part of all of this is that, like, there are so many good moments, and like, me and Bailey, our relationship developed a lot from like that part out, but there was so much focus on 3 days, which were stretched across 3 episodes, that, like, of course people are gonna focus on that. But if you ask me, and honestly, if you probably ask a lot of the cast members, that wasn't like a big part of Paradise.
It seems like you and Bailey had this like, we're both exploring, you explored with Susie, she explored with Andrew and this kind of like don't ask, don't tell policy at the beginning of your relationship where it's like, hey, I don't want to hear about your date. You don't want to hear about my date. We're doing other stuff. We both know it, but like, we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
What's the thought process going on in your mind of like, I'm having these conflicting feelings of like, I don't know if I'm 100% locked in on Bailey, but I know she's 100% locked in on me. Like, where do you draw that line? Because it seems like you draw it where you're like, I'm not going to talk about anything related to Susie until I feel like I absolutely have to. But now, as the viewer, it does feel like there's like lying by omission happening.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because I don't think of myself as a liar. I get why people could see it that way by watching the show. It was essentially like we were both exploring other people. We weren't talking about it. If this turns into something real, like we will have a conversation about it.
When did it turn into something real?
Yeah.
For me, like the switch for me really happened like when it became like the competition aspect. We obviously were learning a lot about each other anyways, but like we were so locked in on each other, and it really felt like for my part, like feelings were really starting to develop. And even though kind of the competition takes place over like 4 episodes or so, that was like really a main part of the whole experience. So for me, it was probably around the time of like the competition starting and us winning that competition, having that amazing date, and really just like the weeks after that.
Did you guys have a conversation at all about like, okay, are we boyfriend girlfriend? Like, what is our relationship status?
At this point,
Yeah.
no. In the future weeks, maybe you'll have to tune in
Okay.
on ABC and Hulu.
Yeah. Yeah.
On your date, the date seems great. Like you're seeing your relationship kind of flourish. Is it at all in the back of your mind of like, but at some point I'm gonna have to tell her this information that's gonna really hurt her?
100%. And there was even a point in the date where you could see on TV where I'm like telling her, I'm like, you kind of like caught me off guard with the date you were going on. Like, obviously I'm thinking about that, but like, who wants to ruin this like amazing date with that? And then literally the next day was when she found out.
In your mind, what would have been like the perfect time to tell her if you had the chance to do it on your terms?
So like I said, I was thinking about doing it that night. I chose to get sleep, and I can't be whatever. It happens. Like she found out a different way, and like we just needed to move on from that.
When Jesse came down and basically introed a whole new show, a competition show, and said no one else is coming down, were you guys like locked off at that point, or would you, if people were still coming down, do you think Bailey or yourself would have gone on another date?
No, neither of us would have
Okay.
gone on another date.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys were you may not have been boyfriend girlfriend, but you were exclusive in paradise terms.
Yeah, and I think we both kind of said that in interviews.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's dive into the big episode where Bailey finds out. So before we get into it, we do see that Spencer and Alex both say to you on separate occasions, we don't know exactly when, it's just like clips back saying like, you have to tell Bailey this information. Like she has to know and everyone here knows except for her. Were you at any point worried that someone would tell her before you got the chance to?
I don't think I was worried because again, like I didn't think it was anyone's place to, even though they had the information. I don't know how everyone found out about it. Obviously, like it's a small beach and people talk. I told a few people about it, but then word spread. But no, I wasn't worried because I still thought it was like my place to tell her.
Gotcha.
This episode of Bachelor Happy Hour is brought to you by Malibu. And even if you
Pregnancy prevention, vaginal bleeding, heart attack, stroke, or death,
extra, that they absolutely will start saving
work across your business.
Anytime you keep finding.
he's going to tell her. Were you like, is he trying to hit on Bailey? Like, decides to tell Bailey. We see this whole run.
At Zyn.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Okay, so Brian decides to tell Bailey. We see this whole rendezvous thing happen first, where she comes to you and says like, hey, Brian asked me to go for this rendezvous. Did any part of you think, oh my God, I wonder if he's going to tell her? Were you like, is he trying to hit on Bailey? Like, what even is happening?
No, the phone call wasn't even like a thought in my mind. Like
Mm.
even the conversation with Brian from like a few weeks prior, I don't even remember having that. Like I didn't even realize that he knew that information.
Mm-hmm.
Like the episode before when there's that whole like Godfather scene between me and Brian, and I think people think it's about the phone call. That's not what it was about. I'd
Mm-hmm.
even told him in that conversation, like, we're not sending you home. So no, it wasn't a thought in my head that Brian was going to tell him. I did think it was like a little weird that he asked her on a secret rendezvous. It was like I was like, what are you doing? Like, I know you and Parisa aren't like so strong, but like, you really going to try to talk to Bailey?
Yeah.
I found it odd.
Do you think Brian told Bailey because he felt bad for Bailey and cared about her, or you think Brian told Bailey because it's a competition and wanted you gone?
What do you think?
What do you think?
What do you think?
I Brian and Bailey were not friends.
Okay, so they weren't because
Oh,
as a viewer, I love Bailey.
Oh, I saw it too.
Yeah.
I didn't see that in person on the beach. I don't
Okay.
think anyone did. I think he was trying to play a game, and he thought it was a good move.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was it watching back that conversation between Brian and Bailey?
Um, like I just wish that he had like came up to me first. And of course, people are gonna be like, "Oh, you had your opportunity." Sure. I still think he should have came to me first. At the end of the day, I can't control what someone else does. Um, it was a hard watch. Obviously, I don't like seeing Bailey like that. Um, but yeah.
Yeah. She then comes to you, wakes you up out of your deep, deep slumber.
Real quick though, real quick. Keep going, but I just want to ask this real quick.
Yeah.
From a competition standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
as the show has somewhat changed,
Mm-hmm.
do you fault Brian for doing it if it was a move? If it was a move to get you out of the competition?
No, I don't fault
Okay.
him. Yeah.
Okay.
But
It's
going off that, I don't think it was out of a goodness of his heart or like a friendship loving thing. I think
Okay.
it was a move, and it was sure well played.
Okay.
I don't think it worked, but yeah.
Okay, nice. Bailey wakes you up. The shot of you half asleep to like wide awake is like just an incredible shot. I can't believe they got such a close up of your eyeballs on camera.
There were a lot of cameras.
And it's just that moment of like you can see you going from like what happened? Like you're probably thinking like, "Oh, did you go on the rendezvous? What happened?" And then it's just like shock. So obviously you were not expecting this. Tell us about that conversation between you and Bailey when she's asking what happened. You know, we hear her say like, "Do you want to be with her?" She's
Yeah.
really distraught.
Yeah, I honestly don't even remember like the first minute of that conversation. So like I said before, that was gonna be like my night to catch up on sleep. I was in like such a deep sleep and I woke it up. I was like, what is going on? But obviously I woke up very quickly. There were apologies that happened. And you know, I apologized and talked about it a little bit, and we pretty much agreed that like we could continue the conversation like the next morning after, because I wanted to give her time to like digest things. Um I think the part that like kind of sucks about all of that is that it kind of make it seem like we have this short conversation and I just like don't care and go to sleep, which is not at all what happened. Just
Okay.
to be very clear on that. We had a conversation. She was pulled for an interview. I tried saying goodnight to her and to continue talk to her for probably like 45 minutes. So then when you see me like all angry by the bar, I was like looking for her. I was like, I just want to say goodnight to her and to talk to her.
Yeah.
And then I
Mhm.
was like, fuck it, I'm just going to sleep after like an hour.
Got it.
Okay. Can you give us a little bit more about what was said in that conversation between you and Bailey? Like, what is she saying to you? What are you saying back to her?
Yeah, because it almost seems, as a viewer, it almost seems like Bailey's crying, and then
She leaves
she's
you to
like,
go back to
and
sleep.
she's almost like apologizing to you for being upset.
Yeah, just give us more insight into the conversation between the two of you.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, apologies were given. Like, tell us about those apologies.
Yeah, I apologize for a bunch of things. Obviously for the phone call, first off. Secondly, for not telling her. Thirdly, for her needing to find out from someone else that wasn't me. She was very upset, and I hate seeing her cry. So I really just like wanted to, make sure she was in an okay headspace, like as okay as she could be. And I wasn't gonna try to like I wasn't gonna try to like influence her or sell her on being with me. I'm like, I fucked up. I want to be with you. She asked like, oh, do you want to be with her? No, like I hadn't thought about her in a long time. I want to be with you. And I know she needed to like gather her thoughts. I know she needed to like digest things and like sleep on it. And that's like what I wanted to let her do. And we pretty much said that we would, talk and like go on a walk the next day.
What did you think when you woke up in the morning was going to happen? Did you think she was going to leave or stay?
I really didn't know. She she was like an hour late to our walk, which I don't blame her. She had a rough night, so I think at first I was like kind of nervous. There was a part of our conversation where like I asked her like do you even want to accept my rose? Like later because it was the same day as a rose ceremony, and she said yes. So we kind of just like talked about things. Um, there was a part shown where she's asking me about the comment about like proposing to Susie.
Yeah.
If you go and look back at that, like first off, like my humor is dry as it is. I don't even remember saying that, but if you go back, I say like I'm kidding, like right after.
That comment's very obviously a joke. Everyone out here that thinks that you were actually planning on proposing to Susie,
Like
like
I knew
it's
they'd go for
obviously
a
a
day.
joke. But
And I get it, but like when she asked me, like I genuinely like I swear to God on camera, I don't
Mhm.
remember saying that.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
were you cringing when it was aired back and you were like,
of
oh, I did
course.
tell her I didn't
And
say
like
that?
and something that me and Bailey talked about in that conversation was like, listen, like even if there were comments made about Susie, like how joking I am. Like me and Bailey between us, we would joke about Susie. So I'm like, no, I didn't say that. But if things were said I want to be with you, just to be very clear.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we see what seems like the rest of the cast, or most of the cast, I don't want to say all of them, are pretty upset at Brian for telling Bailey.
Yeah.
Why?
I think there are a few reasons. I think one, um, they don't think that Brian should have inserted himself into someone else's relationship when he had his own relationship to work on. Um, that was first. Second off, I think that as much as Brian wants to say like, "Oh, I love Bailey, I'm friends with her," I don't think anyone actually thought that, and I thought they were doing it as like a gameplay, a strategic move to like maybe send us home and keep himself there. Um, and also like you only see so much of what's happening, and I think people knew how strong of a relationship that Bailey and I had. One of the strongest, if not the strongest, there genuinely at the time. Um, and the whole phone call and comments were really like such a small thing of what happened. Um, and people know who I am as a person, and they know I was there for Bailey. Um, and I just don't think they like how Brian went about everything.
What part do you think Bailey was the most upset about out of the entire thing? Like the phone call, the comments, the you not telling her,
Her friends not telling her.
you potentially still being like wanting Susie. Like, what do you think the biggest piece of it was?
I mean, I think all of it plays in a factor. I think she was obviously upset that I didn't tell her, and I would be too. I wish I did it before, but I can't go back and change that. Um, I also think she was definitely upset that like some of her friends didn't tell her. Um, yeah, I she was in a really shitty position. Um, yeah,
Were you surprised by everyone's reaction to what Brian did?
that they were like going after him.
Yeah, were you surprised that the rest of the cast, or at least a lot of them, were in a way villainizing Brian for telling Bailey what had happened?
No, I wasn't surprised at all.
You weren't
I
surprised?
I I guess I could see why America was surprised, but I don't think anyone in the cast was surprised. I
Okay.
think he did it for a reason. Um, and yeah,
You think that the core of why they were mad at Brian was that he did it for malicious reasons and self-serving reasons?
yeah, I think so.
What did we see in this episode? Brian is kind of like backtracking with you of like what he did, like kind of like I got you, like I owe you.
Mm-hmm.
What was the conversation before that? Did you guys like talk? Did he apologize? Like where are you? Where do you guys stand?
It definitely comes across like, hey, I know that I did something that messed with your relationship last week. I feel guilty about it, but just know that moving forward, you have my loyalty. And it's hard to kind of get a read on exactly how you're feeling, where you stand on that conversation.
Yeah, I as much as I didn't like how he went about the whole thing with Bailey, I respected that he came up to me and tried to talk to me about it. I don't respect still what he actually did, but I do like that he came up to me. But that wasn't gonna like change, how I was gonna vote or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, and you may not know the answer to this, but where does Bailey stand on the Brian of it all? Is she
I can't speak on her behalf.
okay?
Yeah.
Was she defending Brian after everything went down when everyone was mad at him?
Um, I don't exactly remember, but I mean, she was obviously, happy that someone told her about the call, and that
Mhm.
was Brian. So I think, she defended him in that sense.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't really remember. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of her relationships with the girls that were her closest friends,
Mhm.
we don't really see much fallout, other than maybe a little bit of her conversations with Alex. And then in this next episode, everything seems to be okay. Were there maybe conversations that we didn't see? Were people apologetic towards Bailey, or did they really root themselves in the fact that like no one should have said anything and it should have come from Jeremy?
I don't want to speak on something I don't know. I wasn't part of any of those conversations. I'm sure they were apologetic. But like I really see both sides of it. It's like
Mhm.
one, of course, they want to tell her, but like on the other side, like they want to give me the opportunity to as well.
Got it. Okay. Well, I mean, for the most part, we pretty much covered all of it.
I
But
do
is there anything
Well, what about like all the good parts of our relationship?
we could talk about that?
Yeah.
Before we get into that, though, I want to ask, who did you vote for this week to go home?
Um, what was it? Was it Brian and
Brian, Parisa, and
Sean.
Sean.
Sean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that who you voted for?
Yeah, I think so.
So I was gonna say we covered most of it, but is there anything you do want to touch on as far as your relationship with Bailey and what people may not see?
No, I think it's just like, I mean, you're shown maybe 0.1% of what happens. Um, I get that it makes for good TV, so I think that there was so much placed on a few days of drama
Yeah.
when realistically, like if you ask me or her or anyone back, like Paradise was great. Like there were so many people forming strong relationships. That really is like the bulk of Paradise, which was us developing a strong relationship and like the stuff you see in the most recent episode, like her, doing this great thing for my birthday and getting me cakes and all of that. So I just wish that more of that was shown and that people really understand that we were forming such an amazing relationship. And a lot of like the drama, it was like so old, um, and we were very much past it.
At this point in your relationship in the show, are you guys having conversations about after the show yet?
We definitely were talking about like life after the show and um, what it would look like, where we would be living, and things like that.
Got it.
Do you feel like all the drama that went down inevitably made you stronger? Do you think it set you guys back a pace?
Yeah, that's why, and like I was saying before, it's like I don't like to live with regrets. Like the show and the stuff that happened went down like how it went down. And we were really strong. So of course there were things that I wish I did differently, but like also everything that we went through made us like such a strong couple.
Good.
We went through a lot of stuff. Um, and like I know that we made such a great team, not just like in the competition aspect, but like outside of it and like how we would talk to each other and even deal with like the voting and stuff. And she was such a great like partner and teammate. So yeah, it definitely made us stronger.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, Jeremy, anything else you want to say before we let you go?
Um, no, nothing off the top of my head.
Nice.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
it was I'm actually really glad we did this in person.
me
This was
too.
fun. Thank you so much for coming on Bachelor Happy Hour.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And to our listeners, make sure you download and subscribe to the podcast.
We will have new and exclusive interviews every single week. Thanks for listening. Bye.